"You worthless piece of garbage!" My mother Mary shrieked, her face twisted with rage as she stormed into the kitchen. The soufflé collapsed. "Veronica Hahn will be here in 6 hours and you've destroyed everything we've worked for. I'm done being your servant." I screamed back, my voice cracking with years of suppressed fury. "Cook your own damn dinner." My mother's eyes went wild with pure hatred. "How dare you speak to me like that, you ungrateful little nothing, after we gave you a roof over your head when no one else would want you." "Gave me?" I laughed hysterically, throwing my bloodied apron at her feet. "You mean 15 years of unpaid slavery while you treated me like dirt?" That's when my father Reuben came charging in like a bull, his face purple with rage. "Shut up, both of you. Veronica Hahn is the most important person we'll ever meet and you're ruining everything with your tantrum." "My tantrum?" I grabbed the suitcase I'd hidden behind the pantry door. "Tell Veronica Hahn that her business partner said hello from Florida." "Business partner?" my mother screeched. "You don't even have a job, you delusional." For 15 years, I had been my wealthy family's unpaid slave, while my sister Sharon was treated like royalty. But what happened next shocked everyone. Especially when the CEO my parents were desperately trying to impress walked in and called me something that changed everything forever. If you want to hear how my family's world completely imploded when they realized the daughter they treated like garbage was richer and more successful than they ever dreamed of being, smash that subscribe button, because what happened next destroyed their reputation forever. But first, I need to know, have you ever had someone discover they completely underestimated you? Tell me in the comments, because this revenge story is just getting started. To understand why I finally snapped that Christmas morning, you need to know how my own parents broke my heart and crushed my spirit for 15 years. I was just 17 when my parents sat me down and delivered the words that would haunt me for the next decade and a half. "Sharon's going to Harvard," my mother Mary announced, her voice practically glowing with pride as she looked at my sister. "She's got everything it takes to succeed." Then she turned to me, and I'll never forget the cold disappointment in her eyes. "You're just not college material, Lizzie. Maybe you can help around the house instead." In that moment, something inside me died. I wasn't their daughter anymore. I was their consolation prize, their backup plan, their live-in help. That was the day I became invisible and in my own family. My parents, Mary and Reuben Simpson, were so obsessed with maintaining their status in Greenwich's elite social circles that they were willing to sacrifice one daughter to elevate the other. My mother was a former socialite who would rather die than lose face, and my father was a successful lawyer who cared more about appearances than his own child's dreams. They lived and breathed social climbing, and my sister Sharon was their shining golden ticket to acceptance. Sharon got designer clothes that cost more than most people's rent. I got hand-me-downs from charity donations. Sharon got career support and a guaranteed position at Dad's prestigious law firm. I got a mop and an apron and the soul-crushing expectation that I should be grateful for it. While she attended charity galas and networking events, laughing and socializing like the princess she was, I was hidden away in the kitchen, my hands raw from preparing elaborate meals that she would later take credit for making. At family parties, and there were so many of them, my parents would beam with pride as they introduced Sharon as our successful daughter to their wealthy friends. Meanwhile, I'd be weaving through the crowd with trays of hors d'oeuvres, invisible, ignored, treated like hired help in my own home. Do you know what it feels like to watch your parents' faces light up when they talk about your sibling, then go completely blank when they look at you? But here's what cut the deepest. While they were busy telling everyone I was unemployable, worthless, a disappointment, I was secretly building something incredible. Every single night, after finishing my endless family duties with tears still fresh on my cheeks, I'd drive across town to a small office where I poured my broken heart into building stellar events, my own catering company. By day, I was their servant, their failure. By night, I was a CEO, managing million-billion-dollar events with 50 employees, who actually respected me. The irony was so painful it made me physically sick sometimes. My parents would brag to their friends about their amazing business connections while their most successful daughter was standing right there, completely invisible, serving them drinks. I was catering events for Fortune 500 companies, creating magical experiences for celebrities and executives, while my own family treated me like I couldn't be trusted to manage a children's lemonade stand. For 15 years, I endured the daily emotional torture. I'd spend hours cooking elaborate meals that would make Gordon Ramsay jealous, only to watch Sharon get all the compliments while I cleaned the dishes. I'd deep clean every inch of our mansion while Sharon got spa days and shopping trips. I'd plan their social events down to the smallest detail, then stand in the background watching Sharon get to enjoy them as a guest, as family, while I remained the help. Every "Lizzie, we need you in the kitchen" felt like a knife to my heart. Every "Sharon, tell us about your important work at the firm" made me want to scream that I had important work too, work that was actually changing lives and making millions. But they never asked. They never cared. The breaking point had been building for months, like a dam about to burst. When my parents announced they were hosting Veronica Hahn for Christmas Eve dinner, I knew this was their biggest social coup yet. My mother's eyes were practically gleaming when she grabbed my shoulders and said, "This dinner must be perfect, Lizzie. Our reputation depends on it." Not our reputation, their reputation. I was never part of our anything. What she didn't know, what none of them knew, because they never bothered to ask about my life, was that I'd been in secret talks with Veronica Hahn's company for months about a major catering contract worth $2 million. While my family was planning to use me to serve her dinner and impress her, she was already planning to do business with me as an equal, as a successful CEO. If you think this story is getting crazy, just wait until you hear what happened when I left them with 25 VIP guests and no dinner. Hit that subscribe button because the chaos that followed was absolutely legendary, and honestly, it was the sweetest revenge I could have ever imagined. But tell me this, do you think I was right to finally put my business first, or should family always come before career, even when they treat you like garbage? Let me know what you would have done in my situation, because I need to know I'm not crazy for what I did next. The night before that explosive Christmas morning, I had to make a choice between flying to Florida for the biggest business meeting of my life, or staying home to serve dinner to the very CEO I was supposed to be meeting with professionally. That's when I realized, with tears streaming down my face, that I was done being treated like the family failure when I was actually their biggest success story. I was done being invisible. I was done being broken. The moment I walked out that door, my phone erupted like a bomb going off. Buzz after buzz after buzz, my parents calling in absolute panic, but I let every single call die in voicemail hell. I was already speeding toward the airport, my hands shaking on the steering wheel, and there was absolutely no way in hell I was turning back. Meanwhile, back at the house, their perfect little world was imploding in the most spectacular way possible. Sharon, my precious, golden child sister who had never so much as boiled an egg in her privileged life, actually volunteered to save Christmas dinner. Can you believe it? Within 30 minutes of her stepping into that kitchen, smoke alarms were screaming, and she had somehow managed to burn water. Water. How do you even burn water? But Sharon found a way. My father was running around like a headless chicken, frantically Googling emergency caterers while my mother completely lost her mind. 25 years of social climbing ruined, she was screaming so loud the neighbors probably called the police. Picture this. The woman who had spent decades clawing her way up Greenwich's social ladder, watching it all crumble because the daughter she treated like garbage finally fought back. They were facing the social apocalypse of their lives. 25 VIP guests, senators, CEOs, old money families, all arriving in just hours expecting the dinner party of the century. But here's the Christmas Eve reality. Every single decent catering company in Connecticut was booked solid. Not one was available to save their pathetic hides. That's when they made the most desperate, humiliating decision in Simpson family history. They ordered pizza. Not gourmet pizza from some fancy place, we're talking multiple orders from Domino's and Pizza Hut. Then, in their delusional panic, they decided to arrange pepperoni slices on their $1,000 Wedgwood china, thinking somehow their elite guests wouldn't notice they were eating fast food off museum-quality plates. Now picture this absolute disaster. Guests arriving in couture gowns and custom tuxedos dripping in diamonds and expecting a 5-star Christmas feast, walking into the Simpsons' pristine dining room to find pizza boxes stacked in the kitchen like a college dorm party. The look of pure horror on their faces must have been priceless. Veronica Hahn, the CEO my parents had been obsessing over for months, walked in wearing what probably cost more than most people's cars, took one look at the pepperoni and mozzarella disaster spread across crystal platters, and I can only imagine the shock that hit her like a freight train. My mother was stammering through the most ridiculous explanation about their chef having a sudden family emergency, her voice cracking with embarrassment. But these weren't small-town people you could fool with a sob story. These were Connecticut's elite, and they could smell desperation from a mile away. The whispers started immediately. I found out later that half the guests were secretly filming and posting on social media, turning the Simpson family Christmas disaster into viral entertainment. Sharon, bless her clueless heart, tried to salvage the nuclear wasteland by explaining the rustic charm and casual elegance of their pizza selection. She only made it worse, digging their social grave deeper with every word. Within an hour, Veronica Hahn was making polite excuses and practically running for the door, probably texting her driver to get her out of there before she became part of the scandal. While my family's reputation was burning to the ground in real time, I was touching down in Miami, stepping into paradise. The contrast was absolutely mind-blowing. One moment I was their flower-covered, exhausted servant, and the next I was walking through the marble lobby of a 5-star resort as the confident CEO of Stellar Events, about to close the biggest deal of my career. I had the meeting of a lifetime scheduled with Veronica Hahn's team about a $2 million catering contract. And here's what absolutely destroyed me. Veronica Hahn had been following Stellar Events for months, completely amazed by our work. She had zero clue that the company she was dying to partner with was run by the same daughter my family had spent 15 years calling a worthless failure. My presentation was flawless, powerful, everything I'd dreamed it would be. I walked them through our celebrity client list, our innovative concepts, our revenue growth. The irony was so perfect it hurt. While my family was serving Domino's on priceless china, I was casually discussing million-dollar events with the same woman they'd humiliated themselves trying to impress. Then Veronica Hahn herself burst through those conference room doors, apologizing frantically for being late. And then she said the words that stopped my heart cold. I just escaped from the most bizarre dinner party in Connecticut. The Simpson family seemed sweet, but my God, it was completely unprepared. Thank goodness I'm here with real professionals like you. I sat there frozen, my blood turning to ice, as she described my family's pizza catastrophe in excruciating detail, having absolutely no idea she was talking about the daughter of the people who had just mortified themselves in front of her. It was honestly painful to watch, she continued, shaking her head. They seemed so desperate, so in over their heads. I'm just grateful I have this partnership with Stellar Events. At least I know you actually know what you're doing. In that moment, sitting across from the woman my parents had worshipped like a goddess, I faced the most impossible choice of my life. Do I shatter this perfect moment by revealing I'm the Simpson daughter they just humiliated beyond repair? Or do I stay silent and let business be business? I chose to let them burn. If you want to see how this revenge story reaches its absolutely insane climax, you better hit that subscribe button right now, because what happens when I sign that contract while my family's world collapses is pure poetry. But I'm dying to know. If you were sitting in my chair, would you have revealed the truth? Or would you have stayed silent and watched them suffer? Tell me in the comments, because this decision changed absolutely everything. The next morning I sat across from Veronica Hahn in that Miami conference room, my hands trembling as I held the pen that would change everything. $2 million. As I signed my name on that dotted line, Veronica's face lit up with genuine excitement. You've built something absolutely incredible with Stellar Events, This partnership is going to revolutionize both our companies. The irony crashed over me like a tidal wave of pure satisfaction. In one single business meeting, I had achieved more than my family's pathetic 25 years of desperate social climbing. While they were probably still scraping pizza grease off their precious crystal plates with their manicured fingernails, I was securing a deal that would make me richer and more powerful than they ever dreamed possible. For the first time in my entire life, I felt my true worth blazing inside me like fire. But Veronica wasn't finished destroying my family's reputation. "I honestly can't stop thinking about that dinner party," she said, her voice filled with secondhand embarrassment. "I felt so sorry for that family. They seemed so desperate to impress me. But it was just pathetic, really." I chose my words like a surgeon with a scalpel. Sometimes people aren't who they appear to be. Something in my tone made Veronica's eyes narrow with curiosity. "You know, there's something about your last name that's been nagging at me. Simpson. Wait a minute, you're not related to the Simpson family from that disaster last night, are you?" My heart was pounding so hard I thought it might explode. This was it, the moment that would either destroy everything or give me the sweetest revenge of my life. "Actually," I said, my voice steady as steel, "I'm their daughter, the one they spent 15 years calling unemployable." Veronica's jaw literally dropped open. "You're joking. You're actually joking right now." She stared at me like I'd just told her I was an alien. "You're the daughter they said couldn't hold down a job? The one they dismissed as a complete failure?" She looked down at our signed $2 million contract, then back at me with absolute shock. "But you're the CEO of one of the most successful companies I've ever partnered with." The full, beautiful picture was finally emerging. The daughter they treated worse than hired help was sitting across from the very CEO they'd humiliated themselves trying to impress. But what happened next was beyond anything I could have imagined. While I was flying back to Connecticut as a newly minted multimillionaire, my family wasn't just dealing with social embarrassment, they were facing complete social annihilation. The pizza party photos hadn't just gone viral on social media, they had exploded across the internet like a nuclear bomb. #Simpson Pizza Party was trending on Twitter. TikTok videos were mocking their disaster. Greenwich Society wasn't just gossiping, they were actively shunning my family like they had the plague. But it got worse. So much worse. My mother's panic attacks became so severe she was hospitalized twice. My father didn't just lose face with his law firm partners. 3 major clients actually dropped the firm because they were embarrassed to be associated with the pizza people. Sharon wasn't just mortified among her social circle, her friends completely ghosted her, and she was asked to resign from 2 charity boards. Then the phone call that changed everything came. Not from Forbes, from Vanity Fair. They wanted to do an expose on Connecticut's most spectacular social fall from grace. But that wasn't the nuclear bomb. The nuclear bomb came when they told me they'd already interviewed Veronica Hahn, who had revealed the entire truth about my secret identity as Stellar Events CEO. The article was titled, "The Servant Who Became a CEO: How the Simpson Family's Kitchen Maid Built a Multi-Million-Dollar Empire While They Served Pizza to High Society." The photos were devastating. Pictures of me in designer suits at business conferences juxtaposed with old family party photos where I'm clearly serving drinks in the background. But Veronica Hahn's quotes were what truly destroyed them. "I've never seen such a stunning example of a family's complete blindness to their own daughter's extraordinary success. While they were treating her like unpaid help, she was building an empire that puts their pathetic social climbing to shame." The article didn't just end my family's social standing, it obliterated it so completely that moving companies started showing up at their house because people assumed they'd have to flee Connecticut in shame. For 8 months, complete radio silence. Then my mother called, and I barely recognized her voice. It was broken, hollow, barely human. "Lizzie," she whispered, "we've lost everything. Everything. Our friends, our reputation, our business connections. People crossed the street to avoid us." My father's law firm had collapsed entirely. He was working at a small practice making a fraction of his previous salary. Sharon had moved back home because she couldn't afford her apartment anymore after losing her job. They'd had to sell their country club membership, their vacation home, even my mother's jewelry collection. "We destroyed our own daughter," my mother sobbed into the phone. "We threw away the most successful person in our family, and we didn't even know it. We're nothing without you. We've always been nothing without you." But here's what shocked me most. I didn't feel satisfaction anymore. I felt empty. Winning had cost me more than I'd expected, because seeing them truly broken didn't heal the 15 years of pain they'd caused me. The healing that followed wasn't pretty or simple. It took 2 years of brutal family therapy where we all had to confront the ugly truth about what we'd done to each other. My parents had to rebuild their entire lives from scratch, and this time, they did it with genuine respect for who I really was. 3 years later, at our first Christmas Eve dinner, as a truly healed family, my parents introduced me to their new, much smaller circle of friends as our daughter Lizzie, the CEO who built Stellar Events into a $50 million company. The pride in their voices was real this time, earned through years of painful growth. My partnership with Veronica Hahn didn't just flourish, it turned Stellar Events into a global empire. But the real victory wasn't the money or the success. It was finally being seen by the people who were supposed to love me unconditionally. Sometimes the cost of being right is everything you thought you wanted. But sometimes, losing everything is the only way to find what actually matters. If this story made you think about your own family relationships, smash that subscribe button for more stories that'll change how you see everything. And tell me, when you finally stood up for yourself, did the victory feel the way you expected it to? Because I'm still figuring out if revenge was worth the price I paid for it.